You won't believe some of the outrageous, downright disturbing things these musicians have done. They may be talented, but behind the music, well, let's just say the stories will shock you. Here are 25 musicians that are actually sociopaths. And trust me, you won't be able to unsee some of these moments. 25. Wes Scantlin. Ever wonder what happens when a rock star loses it mid-show? Wes Scantlin's 2016 Ohio performance was chaotic. Ever since he hit it big, Wes Scantlin has had a bit of a checkered past. From multiple DUI arrests to his terrible live performances, Scantlin has lived up to the title of insufferable rock star more than a few times. Though Scantlin is thankfully on the road to recovery nowadays, one particular show unveiled the absolute worst attributes of his antics. There have been many instances of Scantlin walking off stage right after a performance starts and flipping off the crowd. But the worst case of it came in 2016 at a gig in Ohio. Just a few songs into the set, Scantlin started going on a long rant about how someone in the front row was responsible for stealing his house the previous year and proceeded to continue heckling this man for a few minutes. After a few more seconds of jamming on stage, the band looked on in horror as Wes proceeded to throw on his jacket, heckle some more while off the mic, and leisurely just walked off the stage. Since then, the club itself issued an apology to every fan in attendance that night and offered to reimburse their tickets. This was certainly not the first time Scantlin partook in unprofessional behavior, but it was definitely a breaking point. 24. Chris Brown. Is anyone really surprised Chris Brown made the list? His controversial history with fans is downright disturbing. Be honest, you're probably not too surprised to see Chris Brown on this list. Over the years, he has proven time and time again that he has very little respect for others, and it's no surprise that his fans fall into that category. In 2013, Brown made headlines after punching a male fan who photobombed a picture he was taking. Apparently, Brown felt like the man interrupting his picture was, quote, gay, and punched him in the face to show that he wasn't down with it. Brown was eventually charged with assault and did a stint in both jail and rehab because of it. 23. John Mellencamp. What happens when a fan crosses the line? John Mellencamp's infamous 2023 outburst shocked his audience into silence. During his 2023 live and in-person tour, John Mellencamp made it clear that he didn't want fans screaming from the audience. One person in particular didn't take the warning to heart. "Play the fucking music," the man yelled following a comment from Mellencamp criticizing the United States. In anger, Mellencamp addressed the rest of the audience. "Listen, hey you guys, if these people don't shut the fuck up, I'm just gonna leave, okay?" Mellencamp said. "Because I'm not used to this crap. Look guys, if I wanted to play in this type of drunken environment, I'd play outside or I'd play in an arena." 22. Jim Morrison. What pushed Jim Morrison over the edge? His bizarre behavior in Florida left fans questioning his sanity. The Doors' beginnings in the mid-60s were full of great potential. With the band's eponymous debut in the equally deranged Strange Days, they were on the road to becoming kings of the hard rock world with their mix of psychedelic chaos. Once the band stopped in Florida, though, everything started to change. With Jim Morrison drinking heavily at this point in the band's career, the show seemed to demonstrate the greatest psychedelic band on their last legs. Instead of the captivating poetic presence he had become known for, Morrison is pretty irritable throughout most of the band's performance. When the audience gets restless when the band doesn't tear into Light My Fire, Morrison proceeds to go off on the crowd, calling them a bunch of slaves cowering to the power of authority. After going through a public roast of his fans, Morrison asks what they want before nearly exposing himself on stage. Once everything was settled, Morrison was faced with a fine for indecent exposure and didn't go on another tour with the band up until his death in the early 70s. Fans may have felt dejected at this point, but Ray Manzarek said it best when he pointed out that Morrison's artistic self died that night in Florida. 21. Kanye West.
Always find something wrong.
Imagine demanding a fan in a wheelchair to stand up. Only Kanye could turn a concert into such chaos. Kanye West may be a musical genius, but he's also known for being pretty obnoxious. While Kanye's rude behavior usually doesn't include fans, in 2014 he reminded everyone why there are so many people who don't like him. During a show, Kanye insisted that a fan in a wheelchair stand up while he performed. Apparently, Kanye even went as far as to have his bodyguard verify that the fan was unable to walk. Yeah, probably not the best way to win over fans. 20. Fred Durst. What happens when a fan tries to grab Fred Durst's hat? Let's just say things don't end well for anyone involved. Everybody deserves a little personal space, but Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst should probably learn a more polite way to ask. After inviting fans in Russia to join him on stage, Durst exploded on a fan who attempted to grab his hat. Apparently, Durst went off and began swearing at the fan, asking him to get his hands off of him immediately. 19. Roger Waters. When fans push Roger Waters to the limit, his temper flares in unforgettable ways. Just ask the Firecracker fan in Montreal. When fans engage in childish antics, artists suddenly find themselves in the role of disciplinarian. Such was the case for Roger Waters during Pink Floyd's 1977 performance in Montreal. Waters was just beginning the acoustic Animals song Pigs on the Wing when a couple of concertgoers decided to light off some firecrackers. Oh, for fuck's sake, stop setting off fireworks and shouting and screaming. I'm trying to sing this song, Waters announced. I mean, I don't care if you don't want to hear it. Fuck it. I'm sure there are a lot of people here who do want to hear it. So why don't you just be quiet? If you want to let your fireworks go off, go outside and let them off out there. 18. Josh Homme. Josh Homme doesn't just ignore disrespect, he fights back, literally. Find out what happened when a fan threw a bottle on stage. During a 2008 festival performance in Oslo, Norway, Queens of the Stone Age leader Josh Homme snapped when he was hit by a bottle thrown from the crowd. Do me one favor, don't throw any shit at me, Homme, who was battling an illness during the gig, announced to the audience. If you throw something at me, I'm not so sick that I can't go down there and beat the fucking shit out of you. True to his word, Homme then called out the man in the audience who had allegedly thrown the bottle. The frontman went on a tirade using extremely vulgar language. When the audience member was brought close to the stage, Homme threw a bottle back at him and then had the fan removed. Go back to your mom's house, you 12-year-old dickless fucking turd, the singer yelled as security escorted the concertgoer away. 17. Maynard James Keenan. Tool fans worship Maynard, but he's not shy about putting them in their place. His brutal honesty may shock even die-hard fans. For as much great music as Tool has put out, they have always been one of the more difficult bands to love. While every single release has been stellar so far, the prolonged wait that we've had to get their latest album, Fear Inoculum, seemed like torture for most longtime fans. Though many people are used to the band's trolling nature, many were concerned when Maynard James Keenan began calling out the more fanatical Tool fans. When speaking to Billboard magazine back in 2015, Keenan expressed a genuine love for the people who've enjoyed his music, but was not enamored with the people who hang on every word he says. This initially sent fans into a frenzy, but Keenan quickly clarified the comments by calling out the people who treat them as godlike figures rather than actual people. Since then, Keenan has been known to openly mock Tool fans, but only in good fun. This involves everything from calling them names during a show to trolling them by playing 2 songs and pretending to leave the stage. No matter how long it takes them to release albums, Tool's relationship with their fans has been one of the most beautiful mysteries in hard rock. 16. Ian Astbury. It's not every day a rock star breaks up a fan fight. Ian Astbury's 2022 show took an unexpected turn. The cult frontman Ian Astbury is a practicing Buddhist, and given the religion's pacifist nature, it's rare that he gets tangled into confrontations. Still, an exception happened in 2022 when he threw down his mic and ventured into the crowd to break up an altercation between fans. After admonishing one audience member and hugging another, he returned to the stage. "Brother, never put a chokehold on somebody," Astbury announced, eyes still fixated on the man in the crowd. "It's not fucking cool. That's what the pig does. We don't want to see that." The fan was reportedly removed from the show soon afterward. 15. Axl Rose. If you're wearing the wrong shirt to a Guns N' Roses show, be prepared. Axl Rose doesn't take kindly to Slash fans. Ever since the dissolution of the original Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose has been one of rock and roll's most impressive divas. From his reclusive behavior to his failure to show up on time, Rose clearly plays by his own rules regardless of what the consequences are. Most of this behavior can be forgiven, but the fact that he went off on a fan because of their clothing is nearly inexcusable. When Axl was out with a new form of Guns N' Roses in the late 2000s, he became angry when he saw an all too familiar face in the crowd. This face was not a person per se, but instead a casual GNR fan who decided to wear a t-shirt with Slash on it to the show. Innocent enough, but Rose was not having any of it. In the middle of the song, "It's So Easy," Rose ordered the security of the show to escort the fan out of the venue and asked for him to disrobe so Axl could mock him. There have been plenty of uncomfortable situations for rock stars, but stunts like this just feel like a shallow frontman acting like a school bully to the kids who paid good money to see him. 14. Keith Richards. When a fan jumped on stage with the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards did what no one expected. Find out why he grabbed his guitar. As the Rolling Stones were wrapping up their performance in Hampton, Virginia on December 18, 1981, an unexpected guest joined them on stage. The group was making its way through a rendition of "I Can't Get No Satisfaction" when a fan suddenly appeared next to them. Keith Richards responded by bludgeoning the stranger with his guitar, hitting him multiple times before security whisked the intruder away. Richards then proceeded to return to playing as if nothing had happened. Details around the story differ. In one version, the fan was allegedly trying to take some clothing the guitarist had tossed aside. Still, Richards insisted he acted the way he did to protect Mick Jagger. "The only reason I did it was because the security was not there. They were 2 steps behind," Richards recalled. "I'm watching Mick's back. I don't know where this guy's gonna go. You know, it's a kind of automatic instinctive thing. I just watch my man's back." 13. Angus Young. Ever see a rock star twist a fan's nose? AC/DC's Angus Young has no patience for fans throwing drinks during his shows. Here's a crazy idea. Maybe fans should stop throwing stuff at bands. A projectile was the ignition to a 2000 incident with AC/DC guitarist Angus Young. The book, AC/DC Maximum Rock and Roll, detailed how it all went down. At an AC/DC show in Phoenix, Arizona, a fan throws a glass of beer at guitarist Angus Young halfway through the breakdown of Bad Boy Boogie. Angus walks over and points the guy out to security. Another drink then drenches Angus, who furiously takes off his guitar and lowers himself down to the fan. While it certainly seemed like Young was going to punch the fan in the face, he instead grabbed the guy's nose and twisted it. After a few choice words, the fan was escorted out while Young returned to playing his guitar. 12. Oasis. Think the Gallagher brothers are bad? You won't believe what happened when a fan tried to tackle Noel on stage. The Gallagher brothers have enough history of turmoil between them that they don't need fans getting involved. During a rare point when Liam and Noel were on speaking terms, Oasis hit the road for touring throughout 2008. During a stop at the Virgin Festival in Toronto, a fan somehow got on stage and tackled Noel as the group was performing Morning Glory. The man then lurched at Liam but was restrained by security before he could get to the singer. Liam went to punch the attacker but was held back by staff members. Oasis walked off the stage and seemed to be done for the night, but remaining fans lured the band back by cheering, "Fuck that guy." Oasis finished their set, but Noel was later diagnosed with a fractured rib as a result of the incident. 11. Beastie Boys. Ever had a song misunderstood by an entire generation? The Beastie Boys regretted one hit that brought the worst fans imaginable. In the world of hard rock music, the Beastie Boys served as a healthy change of pace from the endless amount of metal bands sweeping the nation. While still being a hip-hop group first and foremost, this trio out of New York used rock beats and an aggressive delivery that made them easy to headbang to. In fact, the riffs were so infectious on some songs that most fans probably didn't even know they were being dissed. Across the band's first album, Licensed to Ill, the Beasties called out the macho lifestyle, with "Fight for Your Right to Party" being the linchpin. From one verse to the next, the band plays up the caricature of the college kid who only cares about partying all the time. However, the band's initial satire of the lifestyle ended up coming back to haunt them. Instead of being taken as satirical, most of the jocks of the day picked up the song's message as their anthem, which led to the Beasties dismissing the song entirely. Even during the band's tour cycle, they hated having to play the song in concert because of the unintentional behavior it caused. They may have loved being heard on a grand scale, but they could have definitely done without the more seedy clientele at their shows. 10. Jennifer Lopez. Is Jennifer Lopez still Jenny from the block? Not according to the hotel maid she allegedly had fired for asking for an autograph. Jennifer Lopez may like to pretend that she's still Jenny from the block, but anyone with eyes can see that Jennifer Lopez is a completely different person. Lopez may smile and seem polite, but apparently she's got another side. According to stories, Lopez had a hotel maid fired after the woman asked for Lopez's autograph while at work. Although Lopez denied the claims, obviously, everyone seems to be convinced that Lopez would do something like that. 9. David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth doesn't tolerate any nonsense at his shows. You'll never believe what he did when a fight broke out mid-performance. In 2012, Van Halen hit the road in support of their 12th album, A Different Kind of Truth. During a performance in Manchester, New Hampshire, singer David Lee Roth brought things to a halt just as the band was playing Oh Pretty Woman. Roth turned his attention to one unruly person in the crowd. "Knock off the fucking fighting! Fuck you!" Roth screamed. "What do you think this is, a fucking mosh pit? You've got all the best looking women on the fucking East Coast here, and all you can fucking think of is fucking fighting?" The rest of the audience gave Roth a loud applause, and with the offender sufficiently embarrassed, Van Halen started Oh Pretty Woman once more from the top. 8. Bruce Dickinson. What does Iron Maiden's Bruce Dickinson do when fans refuse to appreciate his new music? He rips up a fan's sign on stage. It's a blessing for any band to have legions of fans around the world. While having a cult following is certainly special, there's nothing better than having a sea of people singing your songs back to you. Even though Iron Maiden has built up a bona fide army of metalheads, frontman Bruce Dickinson is a bit leery of the fair weather fans. When speaking in interviews, Dickinson would stand by the fact that though he is proud of the music he has made, he outright refuses to play in a nostalgia act. This has led to many of the band's recent sets being dominated by material from their latest output rather than a balanced assortment of classics. It is a notable effort for Dickinson to stand by his newer output, but it actively started to turn villainous when he proceeded to rip up a fan's sign in the crowd that asked if they could play one of their big hits. There's being proud of your work, but it should never get to the point where you actively try to negate your previous classics. The Air Raid Siren is still a great fan favorite, but every so often he can find himself on shaky ground. 7. Sebastian Bach. Sebastian Bach doesn't mess around, especially when someone messes with his family. Find out what happened when a fan pushed his mother. Messing with an artist while they're performing is one thing. Messing with their family is another. In 2014, Sebastian Bach stopped his set in the middle of a song after witnessing someone in the audience pushing his elderly mother. "Hey, you wanna fucking stop the show?" the former Skid Row singer yelled. "That's my fucking mother right there, you jackoff. I'm gonna fucking beat your fucking face in. Don't fuck around with my fucking mother if you fucking wanna get out of here alive. Don't anybody fucking touch my fucking mother or I'll jump right the fuck in here. Fucking Google that shit." 6. Aaron Lewis. Aaron Lewis of Stained refuses to play unless the crowd is silent. If they don't cooperate, he walks off stage mid-show. At the beginning of the 2000s, Stained was one of the more whiny bands in the world of hard rock. In an era when nu metal was still booming, some of the band's material like It's Been a While found its way onto rock radio and made fans out of many disillusioned teenagers. As time has gone on though, frontman Aaron Lewis has become an absolute chore to deal with when on tour. During some of Lewis's last few solo tours, he has featured an acoustic segment where he takes things down a notch. And by down a notch, I mean absolutely silent. When Lewis tried to perform on his acoustic one night in Ohio, he refused to continue on unless everyone wasn't making a sound. Unable to contain the crowd to his satisfaction, Lewis opted to just put down his guitar and walk off the stage, ending the set early. What's even more mind-boggling is that this isn't the last time this has happened. At another gig in Texas, Lewis found it uncomfortable to perform without quiet and left the stage again after mockingly saying that he couldn't speak Spanish after someone called him out. The rockstar life can be stressful for sure, but this kind of thing is one of the most tasteless diva moments in rock history. 5. Courtney Love. Courtney Love has never been one to hold her tongue. You'll be shocked to hear her brutal comments about her peers, including Beyonce. Hecklers are one of the great evils of the hard rock world. No matter how much power you think you have on a public stage, there's always a possibility of some jerk coming to the front of the stage and trash talking you right to your face. Many artists have handled this well over the years, but in Courtney Love's instance, it seemed to go a little too far the other way. In a massively disrespectful move, a fan at one of Hole's shows turned up with an image of Kurt Cobain on the front. While it seemed innocent enough at first, Love became more and more agitated before finally going off on the fan for touching on a still fresh wound. She may have been right to be angry, but what happened next opened up a lot more questions. Though Love initially started going off on how she has to live in a world without her famous husband, she took some more time to trash talk former Nirvana drummer Dave Grohl for being kicked out of the band and telling the fan to go see the Foo Fighters and do that shit. After that didn't go over well, Love left the stage, leaving the audience uncomfortable, perplexed, and musically jilted. On her BBC Radio 6 music show, Courtney Loves Women in 2024, Courtney shaded several of her peers. Per the Standard, she said, "It's great that there are so many successful women in the music industry, but lots of them are becoming a cliche. Now, every successful woman is cloned, so there's just too much music. They're all the same." She specifically singled out Beyonce. She said, I like the idea of Beyonce doing a country record because it's about black women going into spaces where previously only white women have been allowed. As a concept, I love it. I just don't like her music." At a later point in the series, Courtney criticized Taylor Swift. She said, "Taylor is not important. She might be a safer space for girls, and she's probably the Madonna of now, but she's not interesting as an artist." And she shaded Lana Del Rey. She said, "I haven't liked Lana since she covered a John Denver song, and I think she really should take 7 years off. Up until Take Me Home Country Roads, I thought she was great. When I was recording my new album, I had to stop listening to her as she was influencing me too much." 4. Paul Stanley.
beautiful sun. Someday when the world is much brighter.
What do you do when a fan shines a laser pointer on stage? Kiss frontman Paul Stanley had the perfect and shocking response. You expect to see a certain amount of theatrics at a Kiss concert. Lasers from the stage? Sure. Lasers from the crowd? Not so much. During a 2009 performance in Portland, Oregon, frontman Paul Stanley stopped what he was doing to call out a fan who was shining a laser pointer on his face. If y'all want to see me shove a laser pen up some motherfucker's ass, it's that guy right there, he declared, pointing into the upper level of the crowd. Stanley addressed a disrespectful fan directly, saying, "Go back home, turn on your XXX channels and pull out your Playboy magazines, but don't come back to see us again." 3. Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain was appalled by some of the fans his fame attracted. You'll be shocked at what he had to say about them. It's absolutely astounding how Nirvana gained such mainstream attention in such a short amount of time. While they started out as a simple alternative band amidst the Seattle scene, their mainstream breakthrough with Nevermind became one of the biggest cultural phenomena that rock had ever seen. New fans may have been popping up left and right, but Kurt Cobain had no time for the more mainstream attention. Instead of having the cool underground fans of their early years, Cobain was almost appalled to see jocks at his shows. He would occasionally mock his newfound audience as the same kind of people who used to kick his ass in high school for making music. Based on his firm feminist and political beliefs, Cobain also took a few jabs at those fans who were showing any form of racism or sexism in their day-to-day lives. Though some songs rang true to that theme, like Rape Me, Cobain made it cut and dry on the inner sleeve of the band's B-sides record, Incesticide, where he literally encourages any racist or sexist fan not to buy his music because of his hatred towards them. Cobain may have been grateful for his success, but when it came to the awful behavior of his fans, he was not afraid to speak his mind. 2. The Black Crowes. What happens when a fan runs on stage during a Black Crowes show? You won't believe how the band fought him off with their instruments. If you're still not convinced that jumping on stage is a bad idea, here's another exhibit of what can happen courtesy of the Black Crowes. During a 2022 stop in Melbourne, the band was performing Stare It Cold when a man climbed on stage and started running toward the band. Security tried to intercept him, but the burly intruder knocked one person off the stage and spun away from another. Singer Chris Robinson then jabbed the fan with his microphone stand. When that didn't stop him, Rich Robinson bludgeoned the man in the chest with his guitar. "Throw that motherfucker out, right? You get the fuck out of here," Rich declared before the Black Crowes started back up. Back up. 1. Johnny Rotten.
Now as I was then. In fact, more so. You need me. I don't need you.
No one does chaos quite like Johnny Rotten. You'll be shocked at the antics of this punk pioneer in his lifelong crusade against authority. Johnny Rotten is known for being anything but subtle. Born in the UK and later gaining US citizenship in 2015, this notorious punk rocker has always thrived on causing a stir. Whether it's hurling insults from his Malibu home or proudly embracing his bad boy persona, Rotten seems to take pleasure in being the odd man out. His punk days with the Sex Pistols may have started the trend of public disorder, but Rotten's behavior hasn't mellowed with age. What was once rebellious, belching, spitting, and stirring up trouble, has become something of a worn-out routine. Now, as an older man, it's almost comical watching him cling to that punk rock ethos. Yet, Rotten continues to enjoy his role as the eternal antagonist, leaving many wondering, does he even care that people think he's insufferable? Probably not. After all, being disliked might just be his greatest achievement.
Time has proved me right. The British now completely agree with me on that.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you thought this list was wild, trust me, there's plenty more where that came from. Be sure to check out our other videos too. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an upload. Catch you in the next one.